But her sentence has been put on hold, and it has to do with her attorneys trying to get the judge disqualified.
Foolio's female killer just won her appeal and beat the Foolio murder case.
Case of rapper Julio Foolio, the judge who oversaw the trial of Alicia Andrews, the woman convicted in his death, has been removed from the case.
Yeah, the state Supreme Court stepped in after concerns were raised about the judge's conduct during and after that trial.
And bro, Foolio's mom's reaction, priceless. I'm talking straight devastation, pure anger, all of it mixed together. But before we even get into Foolio's mom reacting to this insane news, we gotta talk about how the hell she beat this. No cap, this is easily one of the wildest legal plays I've seen in a long time. And trust me, y'all are not ready for how this whole thing actually unfolded. So buckle up, gang, because this story is straight up crazy. Alright, let me break this down real quick. Alicia Andrews.
Right.
She was the first out of the 5 suspects in the Julio Foolio murder case to go to trial. And bro, when I say the prosecution thought this was a lock, I mean they were rubbing their hands together like Birdman for real. They had phone records, they had her traveling from Jacksonville to Tampa, they had cell towers pinging her phone, surveillance footage, everything. This was supposed to be a slam dunk, no questions asked. But here's where it goes completely left, fam. Alicia Andrews' legal team pulled a move nobody saw coming. Right after she got convicted of manslaughter, they immediately filed an appeal and froze her sentencing. And get this, the appellate court actually granted it and straight up removed the judge from the case. Yo, when I read that, I had to double back, like, hold on, what? The judge got taken off because of bias? That's wild. So let me explain what really went down inside that courtroom, because this is where it gets messy. Her lawyers, shout out to Jeremy McClellan and his whole team, documented everything. And I mean everything. Bruh. They caught the judge moving real questionable, showing clear bias against the defense from the jump. First off, during jury selection alone, the judge was already acting. Funny Alicia's lawyers tried to strike certain jurors, who straight up admitted they didn't understand rap music or rap lyrics. And bro, this whole case revolved around rap beef, gang culture, all of that. So if you don't understand that world, how are you supposed to fairly judge what's going on? Make it make sense. But the judge shut it down. She forced the defense to keep jurors who openly said they didn't get the culture at all. That alone is crazy. But nah, it gets even wilder. During opening statements, the judge told both sides they had 1 hour each. That's it, 1 hour. But somehow the prosecutors went on for 2 full hours, double the time. And when the defense tried to call it out, at sidebar, the judge straight up denied it and said she never gave a time limit in the first place. Here's the problem though, it was all on video, clear as day. She literally said, you guys each have 1 hour. So she lied, got caught in the lie, and then just brushed it off like nothing happened. That's beyond disrespectful. No cap. And bro, it didn't stop there. Throughout the entire trial, every time Alicia's lawyers tried to object, the judge would instantly shut them down. She wouldn't even let them explain the objection. When they asked for sidebar to handle legal issues away from the jury, she kept saying, no. And y'all gotta understand, that's a huge deal in court. If attorneys can't preserve objections on the record, it makes appeals almost impossible. The judge was basically blocking them from building an appeal, which honestly feels like some real sneaky work. Now let me paint the picture even clearer, because this is where the bias really jumps out. The defense would start cross-examining witnesses, right? And the judge would rush them the entire time. She literally told the defense to fast forward through video evidence they were trying to show the jury. Think about that. You're fighting for your client's life, trying to present key evidence, and the judge is basically like, nah, hurry it up, we don't have time. Meanwhile, the prosecution got 6 full days to lay out their case. 6 days. And the defense? Constantly getting pushed, rushed, and cut short. That's not fair at all. And here's the part that really sealed the appeal. The judge kept telling the jury, don't worry, we're gonna get this case to you by the end of the week. You'll be deliberating by Friday. She said it more than once. But peep this, she was saying that before the defense even finished calling all their witnesses. So now the defense is under pressure to rush everything because the judge already promised the jury a deadline. That's literally putting an arbitrary timeline on someone's life, fam. Alicia was facing 15 years in prison, and the judge was more worried about getting the jury out before the weekend. That's insane. The lawyers documented at least 14 separate examples of bias. 14. And in their appeal, they accused the judge of allowing what they called a straw man fallacy. Basically, the prosecution would twist or misrepresent the defense's arguments to make them easier to attack, and the judge just let it slide. She was enabling the prosecution to play dirty, while keeping the defense's hands tied behind their back. Now let's talk about Alicia's actual role in the murder, because this part matters. According to the prosecution, Alicia Andrews was the lookout and coordinator. They claimed she helped stalk and track Foolio across Tampa the night he was killed. And I'm not gonna lie, both the evidence they presented was pretty heavy. So here's how it supposedly went down. It was Foolio's birthday. He was in Tampa celebrating, moving around, living it up. Alicia and her boyfriend, Isaiah Guttersy, traveled from Jacksonville to Tampa. Prosecutors said this wasn't some random trip or vacation. They said it was a mission. Phone records showed Alicia's phone pinging all over Tampa, following Foolio from spot to spot. They even had surveillance footage of Alicia and Guttersy sitting in a parking lot outside a club where Foolio had an appearance. They didn't go inside, just sat there for hours. And during that whole time, prosecutors say Alicia's phone was sending text messages to the shooters, updating them on Foolio's location. Messages like, "He's here, he's moving," all that. Then, around 4:30 in the morning, Foolio leaves his last stop and heads to a hotel near USF to lay low for the night. And guess who pulls up to that same hotel? Foolio and Guttersy almost immediately. Phone records show them texting. The shooter's like, "He's here, come now." And bro, the surveillance footage is crazy. Their car leaves, and right after that, the shooters pull up. Next thing you know, Foolio is getting lit up in his car. I'm talking Swiss cheese, fam. They dumped so many bullets into that vehicle, it was beyond brutal. Now here's the really sick part. Alicia had rented an Airbnb for the trip. After the murder, all three shooters pulled up to that Airbnb with the guns and everything, and Alicia was right there in the house with them. Then, the very next day, they all drive back to Jacksonville together like nothing even happened. Alicia's defense, she claimed she didn't know what was going to happen. Said she was just on vacation with her boyfriend and got dragged into something she didn't fully understand. Her lawyers tried to argue that Guttersy was abusive, that he would beat her and force her to hand over her phone. They were trying to paint her as scared and controlled. But the judge shut all of that down, saying domestic violence isn't a valid defense for murder. And honestly, on that part, the judge wasn't wrong. You can't say my boyfriend was mean to me as an excuse for helping plan a killing. But here's where it gets tricky, fam. Even if Alicia was clearly involved, the real question is this: did she know it was going to be a murder? Or did she think they were just going to pull up on him, fight him, scare him, whatever? That distinction is everything. That's the difference between first-degree murder and manslaughter. And that's exactly why the jury convicted her of manslaughter instead of first-degree. They believed she played a role, but maybe didn't fully think someone was going to die. Now let's talk about Foolio's mom, because this is where it gets emotional. After Alicia won her appeal and got the judge removed, Foolio's mom was completely devastated. She's been fighting hard for justice, showing up to every hearing, talking to the media, demanding maximum punishment for everyone involved. And I get it, bro, that's her son. She lost her child in a brutal, public murder. Any parent would feel that way. But here's where I gotta be real with y'all. This part might be controversial. Foolio's mom is out here talking about justice and saying her son was innocent and didn't deserve what happened. And don't get it twisted, nobody deserved to be murdered like that. But bro, let's not rewrite history. Foolio was deep in the streets. He was dissing dead people in songs, tied to shootings, and had serious beef. This wasn't some random innocent kid who just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Christopher Foolio was an active player in a deadly gang war. And I'm not saying he deserved to die, don't twist my words. Nobody deserves to get murdered like that. But his mom acting like he was just some helpless victim with no connection to the violence? Come on now, fam. Foolio was dissing Bibby, dissing 23, dissing all of Ace's fallen homies. He was making songs straight up celebrating deaths. And we know for a fact people lost their lives because of this beef. So when his mom is pushing this hard for justice, acting like her son never caused pain to other families, that's where it starts to feel hypocritical. No cap. Like, where was this same energy when Foolio dropped When I See You and was dissing dead teenagers? Where was this push for justice when people on his side were dying and he was laughing about it in songs? I'm just saying, you can't pick and choose when. Justice matters. Either you're against the violence across the board, or you're not. You can't be mad when it hits your family, but celebrate when it hits your ops families. But anyway, when the news broke that Alicia won her appeal and the judge got removed, Foolio's mom went off. She was on social media talking about how the system is broken, how they're letting killers walk free, calling it a slap in the face to her son's memory. And bro, from her perspective, I get the frustration. They finally got a conviction, and now it feels like it's getting undone over technical. She was also saying this is going to drag the whole process out even longer, and she's not wrong. Now there's got to be a new judge. Alicia's legal team is likely going to push for a whole new trial. What was supposed to be wrapped up is now going to stretch out for months, maybe even years. That's gotta be torture for a mother who just wants closure. But here's the part people don't want to hear, fam. As much as I feel for Foolio's mom, the legal system has to work the right way. If that judge really was biased, if Alicia really didn't get a fair trial, then the appeal had to be granted. Because once we start letting biased judges railroad defendants just because we don't like them, the whole system collapses. Today, it's Alicia Andrews. Tomorrow it could be someone who's actually innocent. Everyone deserves a fair trial, even people we believe are guilty. And zooming out for a second, this whole case shows how messy these street situations get. You've got 5 people charged with first-degree murder, all of them facing either life in prison or the death penalty. You've got phone records, surveillance footage, witness-sized tons of evidence. And even with all that, the entire case is starting to unravel because of courtroom drama and judicial bias. The other defendants, Shashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, and Shah Gathaitar, still waiting on their trials. And now that Alicia's case is in chaos, you already know their lawyers are taking notes. They're going to point to the same judge, the same bias, the same issues. This doesn't just affect Alicia, could blow up all the cases. And bro, that's what happens when a courtroom isn't run fairly. The judge was so focused on locking in a conviction, so focused on rushing the process, that she ended up jeopardizing everything. Now, instead of one solid conviction, the state might walk away with nothing. All because the judge couldn't stay neutral. So what happens next? A new judge is going to be assigned, and Alicia's lawyers are pushing hard for a brand new trial. Honestly, they might get it. If that happens, the prosecution has to start all over. Same evidence, same witnesses, same long process, and hope the outcome is different this time. But here's the wild part, fam. Alicia's already been locked up for over a year and a half. She was arrested in July 2024. And now we're in 2026. If she gets a new trial and somehow beats a tour, cuts a deal for time served, she could actually walk free. After being tied to one of the most high-profile murders in Jacksonville history, she could really go home. That's insane. Some people think she might take a plea, maybe around 5 years, and with time served and good behavior, she could be out in another year or two. Others think the prosecution is going to come back swinging and try to land that first-degree murder conviction this time. Right now, it's completely up in the air. But yo, let me wrap this up, because this whole situation is wild from every angle. You've got a brutal murder, a judge accused of bias, a grieving mother, defendants fighting for their lives, and a legal system trying to balance justice with fairness. Foolio's mom is hurting, and I really do feel for her, losing a child. Something no parent should ever have to experience. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that Foolio was deeply involved in a lifestyle where outcomes like this sadly come with the territory. And we also got to be real about this. Everyone, even people accused of the worst crimes, deserves a fair trial. That's what separates a courtroom from the streets. Alicia Andrews may very well have helped set up Foolio's murder, but evidence definitely points to her playing a role. But if the judge was biased, if she didn't get a fair shake, then legally, that conviction can't stand. That's just how the system works, fam, whether people like it or not. Now we're stuck waiting to see what happens next. Does Alicia get a whole new trial? Does she take a plea deal? Does the prosecution come back harder and try to lock this down once and for all? Nobody knows yet. What we do know is this case is far from over, and Foolio's mom is going to have to wait even longer for the closure she's been fighting for. And that's the full breakdown. Fam, if you learned something new from this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and let me know where you stand. Do you think Alicia deserves a new trial, or should the conviction stay? And do you think Foolio's mom has every right to be angry, or is she being hypocritical? I really want to hear y'all's takes. And yo, if you want more content breaking down these street cases and all the drama that comes with them, hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. I've got a lot more coming for y'all. Trust me, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Stay safe out there, and remember, these streets ain't worth it. For real. For real.